If you had total immunity, think about this, put yourself in this position. And no matter what you did, no matter what, nobody could stop you, could they? Think about that.
And take a look at what is left of the East Wing. Basically, rubble. It is just so astonishing to see. It will be fully torn down as soon as this weekend. Looks like most of it is.
They're getting there.
So the president obviously would like to build his 90,000 square foot ballroom. So originally the cost was $200 million. It is now ballooned to $300 million.
I think as of yesterday afternoon, $350.
It's being privately funded, as the president will point out, along with many big, corporations, of course, that will also be helping to back that. Mm-hmm. It will be nearly twice the size of the White House itself. And so you're wondering, like, well, what was in the East Wing that we could just lose it for a ballroom?
Well, the First Lady's offices.
And it was one of the main entrances that people, would use when you would go visit the People's House.
To go to the Christmas.
Live now from Fox as we take a live look at the White House over in Washington, D.C. We are following a developing story as President Trump continues to make changes and make room in the White House for a ballroom. Fox 5 DC's Melanie Allwing joining us live down there in the nation's capital. She has the story. Melanie.
Hey, good morning. So what we learned yesterday is that this ballroom project is really being expanded and is becoming much more expensive than we originally learned. And we're seeing this morning also that the White House, the east side of it, has really become a demolition zone. The complete demolition of the East Wing is expected to be done by this weekend. In July, President Trump said the construction of the new White House ballroom would not impact the East Wing, but clearly that is not the case as jackhammers and jaws of demolition cranes tear down decades of history. In the Oval Office Wednesday, President Trump said his architecture team determined that knocking down the East Wing but preserving small parts of it was best for the project. Once complete, the ballroom is expected to be almost double the size of the main White House and will be able to hold just under 1,000 people. It's another move that's dividing Americans.
Hi, this is Robert Wilkins, your BT dispatcher, bringing you news and commentary with a different flavor. And as we all know, it's about the wing at the White House that's been torn down. And of course, to be expanded to a new ballroom that's going to be larger than the White House itself. But as you know, the nation is divided on this particular topic. And I've got more for you to hear, baby, because you need to hear what others are thinking as well. And wondering what would it ever take to bring us back together again. From the New York Times, headlines: 7 voters on Trump's plans to build a White House ballroom. 7 voters weigh in on Trump's new ballroom. There is outrage, but also optimism. And then there is the question, given everything else going on, why now? A White House ballroom has been on President Trump's wish list for years. Now, he has demolished the east wing of the White House to build a 90,000 square foot, $300 million endeavor, which is the largest renovation to the White House in decades. Mr. Trump initially pledged that the White House would not be touched by the construction of a new ballroom. But as heavy machinery bulldozed the east wing, it became clear that one of the nation's iconic buildings was getting a bigger makeover with virtually no discussion. We talked to 7 voters across the country to see what they thought of the project. Their answers reflected the deep political divide on what the White House symbolizes and to whom it belongs. Who owns the White House? Really, who owns the White House? I thought it was the People's House. If it's the People's House, shouldn't we be notified of any changes to our property? It reminds me, think about those that own a house and they rent that house out, knowing that that person's not going to be there permanently, and all of a sudden they tore something down and rebuilt something new without your notification of it, or even got your approval to do it. Isn't that the same thing? Don't go anywhere, because I got more. Here what these 7 people from the New York Times have stated. More to see. Let's get to it. Diplomatically, if you can get more people in there, you can enhance the prestige of the United States, says Randy Dutton, 69. Dutton, a retired Navy commander, is pleased with the effort to remake the East Wing and that it won't be paid by public funds. Clifford Eugene, 74, the White House is not Trump's house. It is the people's house. Eugene is a retired federal bank examiner, is skeptical of the $300 million price tag. Adrian LeBoy, 43, says, it just seems like an odd time to do it. LeBoy works in healthcare community outreach. New construction jobs are welcome, she says, but ending the shutdown is more pressing. I have to agree with her right there. You know, people have lost jobs, losing jobs. It seems that the state of things is, the priority of things are not in the right perspective, how one may see it. But let's continue on. It's pretty important that the White House looks nice and new, says Charles Walters, 25. Walters, a college student and Marine veteran, says that people should be awestruck by the White House. I'm awestruck, period. I remember the first time we went to Washington, D.C. and went to the Capitol. I was in awe with everything, even the soldiers, you know, those statues of all those soldiers on the ground, you know, engraved in the ground. I tell you, it doesn't matter what the White House looked like. You're going to be in awe because of what it represents. Let's continue onward. Thang Dong, 36, reports, it's just kind of ridiculous he's doing something like that when the government is shut down. Dong, a software engineer, recalls feeling pride during a walkthrough of the White House as a child. Now he's outraged. You can say that again. I think a lot of people feel that way about it. I don't even know if it's half and half, but let's read on. Annabelle Collins, 37, she says, I empathize with the people who are in an uproar, but to me, it's just a building. Collins, who works for an education program for migratory farm workers, feel indifferent about the efforts to change the White House. No matter what it is, the far left just has to create an uproar. It's got to be evil President Trump, says Brian Kosklowski, 41. Kosklowski, a lawyer, says the president is being unfairly criticized. So what do you think? Do you think the president is being unfairly criticized? Do you think that because it's the people's house, so it's been said, that proper approvals and licensing or whatever is required to do such a huge project? Or is the president, because he's immune from prosecution, that he can do whatever he wants to do? Because who's going to stop him? Think about that. It seems like that's what may be going on in our country today, isn't it? Things are happening left and right, and there's no accountability for anybody. I like to think that if I was in such a position and have total immunity, you know, that's just like kings and dictators. Now, don't get mad at me out there, because I got friends that they get mad at me if I say something like that, because I have a diverse group of friends. And I know how they think over there, and I know how they think over there, okay? And I know how everybody in the middle thinks as well. But if you had total immunity, think about this, put yourself in this position. And no matter what you did, no matter what, nobody could stop you, could they? Think about that. If you had all the power in this country like we've never had before, because you know, we've always had checks and balances, you know, the three branches of government. But now, let's be real, we don't see that anymore, do we?
Once complete, the ballroom is expected to be almost double the size of the main White House and will be able to hold just under 1,000 people. It's another move that's dividing Americans.
This is wrong. He shouldn't be focused on the damn ballroom. He should actually try to fix the families that are being broken. or just like resign. He should be impeached and so many other things.
I think it's important to actually have the room for people to come out and visit. And honestly, I think I really support it because we're not paying for it.
Now, whether or not the White House needs approval for the changes is contested. Often wholesale changes like these have to get congressional approval or approval from entities like the National Capital Planning Commission. The White House, though, and President Trump say that they only need a review of the project for construction, and they claim that demolition is separate from that, and they can do it because there's no zoning laws that apply to them. And so that's a little loophole that they're being used to do this and do it quickly. The price tag now $300 billion, $100 billion more than initially the White House said the Ballroom project would cost. President Trump says that it's going to be paid for by him and donations from private wealthy donors. Sources tell us the timeline is being pushed to hopefully get the Ballroom open by 2027.
So there are legitimate concerns and there are praises on both sides. But in my opinion, I like the analogy of owning a property. You're the owner, and you rent it out for a certain period of time. But before you know it, that renter tears down your property without your approval, even if they want to say, I'm making it better. Robert Wilkins, BT Dispatcher. Go ahead, give me a thumbs up, baby, if you haven't already, so that way the algorithm can share this with other people, get me noticed more so, and also subscribe, so that way you won't miss out on anything that I broadcast or post on this channel. Because I can rest assure you, it's going to be some type of headlines, or maybe it might be a story of importance. Maybe a story that can cause you to think, that can impact your life or someone else. Because I want my White House to look good too, baby. And I'm sure with our president, what he's doing, you know it's going to look magnificent. But it's how he's going about it, isn't it? Robert Wilkins, your BT Dispatcher. See you next time.